Hey, Jeremy Lee here, voice of Makoto in Persona 5, and I am so excited that you found your way here to the Raw Dogs podcast because as a fellow cheesehead and a lover of all things Wisconsin, how can you not want to hang out with these guys who are spreading their love of gaming and making the world a brighter, more positive, definitely more fun place. So check it out, hang out for a while, and enjoy the Raw Dogs podcast.
How's everybody doing today?
Great. Pretty good. Hey, you guys like video games?
Oh man, I'm so into video games. Today is the day to talk about video games. Hi everyone, welcome to Raw Dogs. I am hungover and my name is Brad. We're part of the Tokyo Beat Podcast Network. Check out all the other amazing shows. Dylan, what's up, man?
I'm doing well. You didn't even let me introduce myself, but you know.
That's what we're doing now.
Oh yeah, well that's me, Dylan. I don't even know how to introduce myself. I should start coming up with. You remember when I did like Gene?
I'm the Quinine Cowboy.
The Quinine Cowboy, the Gin Genie, the Juniper Jester. It's me.
Hi.
How's it going? I'm Tyler. I'm on the struggle bus. It's been a morning. It was a night.
Yeah, because it was Venture's 5-year anniversary.
So had to go hang out with everybody there. And
Tell them to sign the Cintas agreement.
I will let them know.
Okay.
And then I went to a secondary location and started drinking whiskey.
The secondary location.
Never go to the second location.
Yeah, unless it's where I went.
Second's fine. The third, do not. Well, unless
I was speaking more in
like
terms of like abduction.
Well, jump out of the car.
Tuck and roll.
See, in terms of abduction,
Bite, scream, and kick. Just don't go.
If the second location is closer to home, like really close to home, I will go.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
We are rejoined today by a special guest that we haven't had on in a while.
Howdy. I'm Julian. I'm also hungover.
Julian.
Everyone but me. This is great.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's strange. I've been moving my wife into my house, which is awesome.
That's usually how that works.
It sucks ass, man. I mean, not having her there.
I was going to say which one.
In fact, I'm delighted that she's there. But it's introducing a lot of cats to each other and dogs. And she has a cat and a dog, and I just have a cat. Yeah, so it's been a little bit of a Mexican standoff. It's a real The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's literally just that.
Dylan, remember back in the day when we used to have to like not talk over each other? Like it used to be a battle. We've gotten really good. I haven't had to say that in a long time. I just realized that.
Yeah, I think we've got
I think we're almost good podcasters at this point.
God, I would hope so. I want to list this as a talent maybe, but it sounds facetious.
I want to say, Julian, you are one of the most interesting gamers I know because you were here for Disco Elysium.
Facts.
And you're a huge like indie gamer, but then you said this morning like you were playing Counter-Strike and stuff. You have all the spectrum.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like ADHD or what, right? Like I've also been I just impulse bought a 4070 graphics card.
Oh, nice.
So then I did like the next gen update for The Witcher, so I've been also getting into that, right?
Oh, sure.
I remember, Brad, I texted you about that. But yeah, especially like games that absolutely piss me off, like Counter-Strike, you know, anything like that just gets my blood boiling. For some reason, it's like, I don't subject myself to like League of Legends, but I definitely will do Counter-Strike, right?
Sure.
And as a computer science major, you have to pick something, otherwise they kick you out. And they're like, you don't play League? Well, you got to play Counter-Strike. You know?
Do they really? Is that kind of like an unheard rule or
you know, it's all we're all a bunch of nerds, dude.
I know.
You know, it's like during lectures, I've seen kids playing League, right?
Okay, I mean, it's fine, but I just don't understand that game at all.
Oh, no, yeah, me neither. But that's why I play Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
So.
it's true.
I just love that you're also like Disco Elysium.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's like I think it's like an ADHD thing. Where it's just like I just need to be all over the place.
I tried playing Call of Duty the other day. I got it for free. I got something on one of the PlayStation Plus monthly
Spartacus.
things.
Which one?
I think it's
Modern Warfare 2 Remastered or something, but I turned it on and it said you need to sign agreements and you need to be online and do you want to play zombies or campaign? I'm like, this is.
Brad's like, oh, so many options.
I just wanted to play it.
Did you know they added Homelander to the game?
In Call of Duty.
Yep.
That's
Homelander, Black Noir, and what's her name?
Starlight.
Yep, are in Call of Duty now.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I kind of want to shoot people as Homelander though. Yeah. I would definitely play. It might bring me back.
That'd be fine. Laser eyes.
Yeah, they showed laser eyes in the trailer.
That's cool. I mean, I would watch a video of it. I'm not going to play it.
I'd play it.
I believe The Boys is getting delayed now.
Until the writer's strike is over.
The SAG AFTRA spike. Now the spike strike. Since they joined in, a lot of stuff is going to slow down, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh, 100%.
I look forward to it. There's just too much in general.
House of the Dragon Season 2 is getting shut down.
Yeah.
The Last of Us got shut down immediately.
Damn.
Yeah.
We're doing Oppenheimer Barbie Day with my friends next week.
Are you doing Barbenheimer?
Yeah, we actually are. We're doing the 10:45 matinee because the movie's 3 hours long.
Okay, so which one are you seeing first? Because I'm doing the same thing and I'm arguing.
So we want to do Oppenheimer first because it's also 3 hours, right?
You need something light, a palate cleanser.
And well, so it's like we're also doing my birthday celebration next week. So we're gonna do Oppenheimer in the morning, then we're gonna break for a couple hours, go get some pints with the boys, and then hit up Barbie after that. Get nice and see Ryan Gosling being sexy.
I hear John Cena plays a doll.
I would love that.
Are you serious?
I would love.
I think I saw a picture of him dressed up as a Barbie.
You can't even. How can you see him though?
That's the joke, right?
Yeah. Does he appear on screen?
Probably.
No one knows, dude.
I love John Cena.
It's a real mystery. Oh, spoiler alerts. We end up dropping the bomb twice.
Yeah. I wonder how this one ends.
I wonder how it ends.
Well, let's talk about some video games, gentlemen. It is indie games.
You're
month.
so on it, dude.
I am pulling myself together today. Yes, we went to the Renaissance Fair yesterday, and
I saw some pics.
that is a special amount of drinking we did.
Did you get to see the Mooney and Brune show?
Yeah, your best friend Mooney.
I love Mooney and Brune.
Every time Tyler talks to me, he's like, "Oh, he's a friend of mine." I'm like, "How do you know him?" He's like, "I don't really know him."
Not really a friend. I guess I'm a fan.
You said you were his friend multiple times.
No, Ivanovich.
Oh, Ivanovich.
Yeah. Mooney and Brune, they're too high. Their status is too high. I can't be friends with them. I got to get into
Oh, don't sell yourself short.
No, I'd have to do sword swallowing or fire breathing. I'd have to have a talent. I got to come to the table with some heat.
Are you good at impressions? Quick, do your Jack Nicholson.
Do it.
Jack Nicholson? I can't do it off the top of my head. Hold on.
Say, I'm Jack Nicholson.
Today we're talking about Celeste. Nah, you had your chance and you blew it.
Now you'll never meet them.
For this entry into Indie Games Month, this was my selection. It is a little game called Celeste, and I chose this game because I'm obsessed. I've beaten it double digits, 100%. Well, 100%, that's a tough term to use with this because that's golden strawberries and moonberries. And
There's a lot of layers.
Yeah, that's more than I am comfortable doing because it's insane. Celeste, though, is one of my favorite games, one of my favorite platformers of all time.
You're the reason I got into it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Once you pick it up, it's just tight. The way Madeline controls is a lot of fun. I personally just can't get enough of Celeste, so that's why I selected it. But I can tell you all about how much I've played it and everything after we hear a little bit more from y'all. Now, Julian, you said that you play this game because I recommended it.
Yeah. So, serving you over the bar, a bunch of times talking, nerd speak. You brought it up, and one time it came up on my Steam, right? And I was like, Brad's been talking about it. I got $10.
Yeah.
And I tried it out, and I honestly, at first, I thought, I was just like, it's a platformer, right? And I'm particularly dog shit at platformers, but I'll try it. And it was a true test of patience, but then like I just kind of fell in love with like the story and like the motifs within it. I thought they were beautiful. So the soundtrack, killer, right? All bops.
Goes so hard.
That just kind of like entrance you into the game as you're playing, right? And you can be stuck on a level, as I usually do, for like an hour, right? But like the music doesn't feel like it's repeating over and over.
Yeah.
Right? So they do such an incredible job of putting these tracks together that aren't mind-numbing, but they're beautiful, and like the beats per minute and everything go along with the game, and it keeps the pace of the game. It's just really, really well made. It's really impressive.
You brought up music a couple times. Is music super important to you in video games?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even this game does a very good job when there's a lack of music.
Yeah.
Right. In those moments where it's like there's absolutely no music, you're just bumping around, and it's building that tension,
Like the sound of the wind and everything.
Yeah,
that's cool.
exactly. Yeah, and you see it in just not just this, but you can also tell that they put in so much work into the music, right? So
A lot of talent there. What would you say is your favorite video game soundtrack of all time?
Oh, that's tough. I honestly, and it's a kind of a weird soundtrack, I'd say. Fallout 3.
That's not bad. No.
I love like the that was one of the first games I ever bought for myself. I spent like multiple summers saving money so I could buy myself a 360 in middle school. And the first game, actually I bought a 360, and then I didn't think, because I was like in 8th grade, I'm like, cool, I've made all this money, I bought my thing, but then I didn't have enough money for a game.
So critical flaw.
Yeah. So my dad was like, hey, you earned a game after working so hard. He got me Fallout 3. And when you're just like traversing through the wasteland, and you have like the Galaxy News radio, and it's just like these old timey hits, and you're like, damn, like this is really good music.
It's a real vibe.
Like Billie Holiday and stuff like that. You're like, man, these are tracks.
Yeah.
Butcher Pete, all that stuff. You're like, man, this is awesome. So to answer your question, absolutely, music is so important for me in video games, and then I really like to appreciate it when you know that the team put in so much work into it, right?
Yeah, it's a small team too. Essentially, 6 people did the majority of the work, and then it's like created by 6 names and friends.
Yeah.
And it's for such a polished, finished game that is just crisp. It is a small team. Dylan, what's your experience with Celeste?
Before we do that, what are we drinking today, Brad?
Well, in honor of Celeste, I got a beer from New Glarus Brewing. It's a strawberry rhubarb, in honor of the strawberries, but it tastes mostly like rhubarb. This is one of my favorite beers, though.
It's so good.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
I think Spotted Cow is overrated.
Hot take, dude. Hot take.
I'm kind of more of a Moon Man guy.
Yeah, Moon Man or Two Women.
Two Women is good.
Yeah.
I like Fat Squirrel in the wintertime.
Fat Squirrel's nice.
Cannot get
Fills my
behind that
belly.
one.
I love it.
I don't know, too brown.
Yeah, I get it.
For my taste.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that New Glarus's fruit beers are some of the most exceptional
Absolutely.
In the state. And so I've got us a nice strawberry rhubarb beer in honor of that today.
It's highly drinkable. Well, my first experience is it was at a time where I had to pay for my cat's like eye procedure because he was literally gooping out like pus and all this horrible stuff. And I sold my PS4. And
that had a PT demo on it.
No shit.
Yeah, it had the PT on it. I got a few extra bucks for it. That's it.
Damn.
But now it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I sold it. I'm like, I would rather have my cat than. Obviously, I'm a reasonable person who cares about things. It's like I'm just like, okay, well, one of this has to go. This is the only way I'm going to have the money to do it.
Yeah.
And then I got rid of it, and all I had left was my Switch, and it was constantly me looking every Friday just to see what was new on the eShop.
Yeah.
And this originally just dropped on the eShop, from my understanding. It was originally just Nintendo, correct?
Just Nintendo?
It was just the Switch.
For Celeste?
When it first started out, it was Steam and The Switch.
It released on Linux, Mac, Switch, PS4, and Windows in 2018.
Okay.
It came to the Xbone later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it did come to Stadia for those keeping track.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Stadia. It's hot new in the
What
market.
about the Ouya?
The creators of this game got their start on the Ouya.
No.
They made what was like the killer Ouya game. I think it was like Towerfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Towerfall Ascension.
The killer Ouya game was made by these same creators.
Really?
Actually. You can actually find some of the
Towerfall rules. I just downloaded this on a whim. I'm like, I was so desperate for like anything like on the Switch at this point, because this would have been 2018, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I said, like, I'm just going to play this. And I really enjoyed my time with it. I'm not going to say I was like completely like stunned and flabbergasted,
Sure.
but every time that you play one of these games and it just kind of sticks the landing, you always remember it. Absolutely. And so I always had it in the back of my head. I played through it once. I have not gone back to it really. I fiddled around with it today.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I generally don't, I don't mess around with replaying games over and over again.
Oh, sure. I get the few. There's few that like, it's like I try to get that same hit that I did when I first played it kind of thing,
It's hard for me to go back. It's ADD to the extreme.
I get that. Yeah.
Well, it's not easy for you playing every game that comes out, and somehow you manage to do it, Dylan.
Well, I am the one who is known as the one who plays new games here. So
Someone's got to do it.
someone has to. Literally, someone has to. Let's call it a business investment.
Yeah, exactly.
I could probably write it off on my taxes at some
At
point.
this point, you gotta.
I must.
Yeah.
I should, frankly.
We all should.
We should be writing that off. You think I could? But I don't claim the business.
No. I started claiming stuff for the podcast.
I love that.
Yep. Made sense.
Might as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
That and Big Bread Energy LLC.
Should I give you
Which
the
is real.
That.
It's real.
Should I give you my video game receipts? Maybe you can pump that into it.
Oh, man, that's another question for a not hungover day. Now, Tyler, how far have you gotten in Celeste?
I did beat the main story. It took me an extended period of time because I was not ready to play when we first were going to record this.
Sure.
Or I wasn't ready to talk about it because I hadn't gotten very far. I also am notoriously bad at platformers. In fact, I would go as far to say as the majority of the time I don't like them.
Oh, sure.
Not my jam. But
We call Tyler the Mari No.
The Mari No. But this game I did warm up to this game after I got over the frustration of dying thousands upon thousands of times.
Gabillion times.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does have a charm. And I think the first thing I said was the soundtrack is banging. So
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It made me angry. It made me very angry. I've played a little bit of Bloodborne. I played a lot of Elden Ring. This game made me infinitely more angry.
Sure. Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Because there's nothing worse than like getting through a really tough part or getting 75% of the way through a screen and you're like, oh, fuck, that's what I got to do. And then it clicks, you figure it out, and then you spend the next 57 lives dying on the first jump on that screen. And you can't even get to where you were. And you're like, God damn it.
Yep.
This game is really a lesson in patience.
Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah.
It does help to take a break, too, if like you're hitting your head for a while. Mm-hmm. I remember in the first chapters, like first 7 chapters, there'd be parts where I'm like, I just can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
And now I can just boot up the game. I've played so much that I can go to the toughest sections now and just like, it's instinctual. It's just like muscle memory.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll get there if you keep playing.
I went back and replayed the first level after I beat the game, and I only died like 4 times.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't try to fuck around with the strawberries on that one. I just wanted to see how quickly.
That's part of
I
my
could get
problem,
through.
though. It's like I need the strawberries.
I said fuck the strawberries for
I
a
see
long time.
I see them on the screen. I'm like, I need them.
Well, it's a challenge. You see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't. And I'm like, dude, I spent 2 hours trying to get this stupid strawberry. Like, I could have just been progressing, but it's like I just like fixate on it.
I remember
Banjo-Kazooie must have been a nightmare for you.
It was.
I remember seeing a strawberry in the first chapter where you had to like just keep hitting those jump crystals around like a section of spikes in the middle. I was like, this is not even possible.
Yeah.
And that's just chapter 1, and then it ramps up difficulty all the way through. Now you say you beat it. Does that mean you beat chapter 7, chapter 8?
They got the heart of the mountain. That'd be 8. Right?
Okay, so you beat through 8.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, it's tough. But my brother Justin beat it on our way up north because we went to the.
What do you mean on the like in like a couple hours?
He
Beat it
crushed,
handheld.
Yeah, he had the Switch, but he is very good at it.
Damn.
He's getting real good. I think he beat like the last 4 chapters just in the car ride, which
That's
is insane.
crazy. Yeah.
It's all right.
Maybe he beat it when we got back. I mean, he's very fucking good at it.
Has he gotten any C-sides yet?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going through the B-sides. I think he's going through the majority of the B-sides. He fucking loves the game, which shocked me because it is not his style game.
It's a platformer. And, you know, it's interesting you say you don't like platformers. They're not really your jam. But I don't know. It's something about this game just clicks really well.
They kind of are my jam.
They are your
I'm just
jam.
not good at that.
Okay.
That's like, you know, like I can admit that, right? That I'm like, I really enjoy this, but boy, am I bad.
I think the only reason I kept playing is because the controls do feel so tight.
Yeah.
When
Yes.
I fucked up and I died, I knew it was because of me. It wasn't like, oh, well, this jump mechanic sucks.
No,
ass.
yeah, exactly. It's all on your own timing, and that was, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you.
It feels good to know, like, it's your fault.
Yeah,
if something goes
exactly.
wrong.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
When you get that dopamine rush of beating a tough screen or a level, like I definitely found myself chasing that.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
all right, I'm
Yeah.
the fucking man now. Let's
Yeah.
bring on that next level. And then I'm like, I'm fucking hate this game.
I'm top tier gamer. Oh wait,
I only died 500 times.
My first experience with this, I was at Games Done Quick in 2019, and they were doing a speed run of it. They were doing a task run, actually, a tool-assisted speed run where a computer, they have like maxed out perfect inputs, so it's actually being played on a real system, but it's all being played by a computer, so it's insane. But I was watching it, and the soundtrack is what got me very invested right away. I was like, what the fuck? And I bought this record here during that run. I just pulled it right up and bought it without even having played the game. Because it hits really well. So,
I remember you showing this to me, and I'm like, "Have you played the game?"
there's times that I bought soundtracks and never played the game. There's even games I've barely even heard of, but they were on sale, so I grabbed it. I don't even know what VVVVV is, but I got it.
Oh yeah,
That's good.
Yeah. That's another like very famous platformer.
Yeah, I got a few like that. But Celeste, I got very into it very quickly once I did pick it up, and it's Tyler, can you close that window actually? These birds are chirping and it sounds great and it's beautiful outside, but we want to be dungeon trolls today.
Yes.
I do like that breeze.
Yeah. The game works on many levels. It's extremely tight gameplay. It is twitchy, fun, responsive platforming. The way Madeline moves is great, but there's also like a really great story and surprisingly like thoughtful, emotional like story about depression and anxiety and overcoming yourself.
Yeah.
And it's weird because the first time I played this game, I paid attention to all that and I read things. And then I think the next like 100 hours I put in the game, I just skipped all the cutscenes. So one thing I did before this episode is I actually went back and paid attention to everything extra close, and it's I love the way that the dialogue is done with like the sound design of the characters' voices and the way that the dialogue boxes move in certain words.
Yeah. How it emphasizes them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But so let's get into it. Celeste is a 2D platformer.
What?
I know, right? Guys, I have it here. Section B, number A.
Wow. Okay.
Section B, number A.
I learn new things every time I'm here, man. I learn them all.
Released January 25th, 2018. It came to the Xbox the next day is what I have here. So I don't know why it didn't come that. But then Stadia did get it a couple years later. Created by Maddie Makes Games or Extremely OK Games. They actually originally said Maddie Makes Games, and they've since patched it to say Extremely OK Games. They changed the name of the studio.
Sure.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So yeah, in a newer patch, like if it's fully patched, the game you're playing, it'll say Extremely OK instead.
Oh, no shit.
Interesting. Directed by Maddie Thorson. They are the primary creator of the game. Maddie Thorson and Noel Berry. Noel Berry is the programmer art by Noel Berry, Amora Bettany, Gabby D'Arienzo, and Pedro Medeiros. The whole story is written by Maddie Thorson, and the music is composed by Lena Rain. And sound design, a friend of ours, Kevin Regami, and his company did the sound design. I actually was able to do another episode with him, did an interview with him, and he talked about how he did the sound design for this game, which is really cool. Development began back in August 2015 when Maddie and Noel participated in a game jam, and they created Celeste for Pico 8. Did any of you run into the Pico 8
Yep.
in Celeste?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, the smaller version, like the demake.
Yeah, the game within the game.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's in the hotel.
No.
You actually have to find like a hidden computer. And you can play the original game in.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It actually plays extremely similar. It's a little more off, but it's also kind of like this weird, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Is it in the big room that's all cluttered that you have to declutter?
It's just off of that room.
Yeah, there's like you have to go through like a little secret hallway.
Yep. And it controls much the same.
Yep.
Jump, dash, wall jump. You can't hold onto walls.
Nope.
They do have strawberries though.
They have the strawberries.
They got the strawberries. And yeah, Pico 8's a virtual machine and game engine created by Lexalawful Games. It's a fantasy video game console, but Thorson was a producer. Noel Berry was the lead programmer. They wanted to expand this game into a full release. Everest was the original title. Retroactively, they have called it Celeste Classic, inspired by Towerfall and Mario Brothers 3. And design, they wanted the gameplay to be minimal while mirroring Thorson's own experiences with bouldering. So they must have done a lot of double dashing while they bouldered.
Sure.
I think that makes sense, right? Designed to be accessible, featuring game mechanics intended to make the game more forgiving. Themes of self-forgiveness present in the narrative begin with creating a more introspective game. Chapters divided into multi-screen challenges with checkpoints in between screens, some branching paths. There's a pretty simple verb set in this game at the base.
Yeah.
You don't need to know a lot of like the super crazy tech. What was your first thoughts when you were experiencing the jumping and the dashing, Tyler?
Like I said, it's very tight. I became a little dependent on the dash, using it when I really didn't need to, and got myself into some sticky situations where I'd be hanging on a ledge with no way to touch the ground.
Oh,
so
yeah.
kind of fucked there. But super intuitive and easy for me to grasp right away. And as someone who doesn't play platformers hardly ever, that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I tend to be okay at these because I've played so many like them. But this one being so responsive felt a little unique and different. Like it still sticks out in my mind. It's pure kineticism. It's all like, but you also have a very limited way to complete the task at hand. It knows what you want, what you should be doing, but everything lies on like a hair's breadth.
Yeah.
So you can actually like, you can lower your times. Like if you jump a certain way, and then you might get a bigger boost. And it's like, yeah, if you press that, if you have an itchy trigger finger like Tyler over here, you're immediately screwed in a level.
Yeah, the way they handle death is really nice as well. You're going to die a lot. You're going to die a fuck ton in this game. And it's so forgiving. It gets you back into the action so quick, the little screen wipe.
There's like almost no pausing. It's just you're right back in,
No downtime. It feels good.
Thank you, yeah. That's what
No real loading screens for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's got that simple aesthetic too. It's it's got that 16-bit look. And
I would even argue
8-bit. It's clean. It's simple. Like
I didn't even actually look at what programming language it was actually written in.
It seems almost like a 12-bit, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's definitely going for those like that old school Nintendo, Super Nintendo look.
A Mega Man kind of side scroller.
Like the sprite you play as, Madeline, she's tiny. That's a tiny little character you play as. There's a lot of emoting that can happen with just that number of sprites. platformers about how heavy your character is, how long your jump is, getting to max speed. Like Madeline's nice. She can stop on a dime. She's very heavy. Her jump, she doesn't actually jump that high. The dash mechanic is kind of what really becomes integral in getting around there.
Yeah, and then when you then you get the double jump. Yeah,
Then you get the double jump, the double dash, and the other major verb is like grabbing.
Yeah.
Yep. You can climb up the walls. You run out of stamina though, so you can climb up a certain amount, jump back and forth, and my first time playing through it, I probably just held down that grab button
all the time.
all the time.
All the time.
When you're not really supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. No, I think what's really cool about especially her size on the screen is that it gives the actual screen more. You can actually see what's coming up and plan ahead.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like that's super deliberate. Like, have you ever played like Sonic and you've been like, well, I didn't see that coming because I couldn't see far ahead enough to actually like plan.
Sonic on the Game Gear, you can see like 4 feet in front of Sonic.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's important. And that must have been a really kind of tricky thing, like, something like needle to thread. Like that had to be like one of their first design choices.
Yes, absolutely.
Because without that showing of the screen, this game would not be successful.
Yeah, and they also have the what is it, like a telescope, right, that you can use to like scroll through the screen.
Yeah, which I definitely did my first times through. You want to look through and just see. You'll like understand the first part of a puzzle, but I like what you mentioned, Dylan, about they're like single screens, most of them.
Yeah.
So you come in there, you see the puzzle, you see the platforming, puzzle, the mission, what you need to do.
It is essentially a puzzle. There is a set solution. So technically,
and some of them have like different solutions, right?
Right. And you can do other stuff, but for the most part, there's a way they kind of want you to do it, and you can improvise based on that. Like even even going back to it, I noticed that some of the screens actually, they allow you to fuck up once or twice, and it depends on the task they set out for you.
Sure.
Like there's a way where you can like dash and then like, oops, I shouldn't have dashed, but there's a wall right there, so I can kind of get back up. So it has a nice like scale. One of the things I love about this game is that it ramps you up pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gives you all the tools you need, and then it incrementally raises, and that is the most important thing.
It starts to just like punch you in the face.
Oh yeah. But by that point, you kind of have everything you need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This is also one of those games, if you set it down for even 2 months,
and
you come back to
rusty.
it, you get rusty really quick.
Absolutely.
Not for Brad.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've actually had the opposite feeling. Like, I hadn't played it in a long time, and I had a bad hungover morning.
Really?
And I just, like, couldn't do anything with my life. I wasn't allowed to make decisions yet.
Yeah.
So I just, like, rolled to the couch, and then I just put Celeste on, and I just crunched through all of the seasides in, like, the matter of an hour.
See, we are built completely different.
And I was like, what is wrong with me? Am I
a
a
little bit,
superhero with being hungover or something? I do not get it. Yeah, and you mentioned the way it ramps up, and I think that's a really important aspect of this game. As long as you want to keep challenging yourself, it gives you more.
Yeah.
And this game is a lot about overcoming yourself and like climbing a mountain for one reason or another. And it's really nice the way it says like, hey, it's okay to take a break. Dude, you're getting fucked right now. You should just take a moment.
Well, one of the things I also like
you died a lot this time. Just here's a postcard. You can go outside, dude.
Death is learning.
Touch some grass.
They introduce a lot of variations in between levels too. Like wind becomes very important, and that's used for platforming. Yeah, and then there was also like the portals in like the hotel, like the portals.
What do you mean by the portals?
Oh, is it like the things that you can dash through?
Yeah.
Yes,
I love those, man.
Like the little galaxy.
I call them portals, but I call them like portal boosts or something.
Dream blocks, space blocks.
Yes, little galaxy, whatever, right?
There's multiple terms.
I like that shit.
Yeah.
That was so good. But like giving you something fresh each and every time, almost like it keeps you going. It keeps your interest. Not that you wouldn't necessarily stick with the game, but I think that having those slight variations and introducing a new little gimmick to kind of keep you going, I think that's highly important for games. Fresh takes.
There's a really good YouTube video by Game Maker's Toolkit about this game. They interview Maddie and Noel, and Noel's explaining that they tweak these things down to like the frame constantly back and forth, but they talk about intentionality, and they even have coyote time in this where you after going off the edge, there's 5 frames where it still allows you to make a jump just because like it just felt right.
Oh, sure.
It doesn't make sense, but there are things that they do because you want it to happen, or they like know what you were aiming for, and they have like a little bit of a bend rather than like a hard line, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're talking about how they'd have friends over when they were testing the game, and the friend's like, I think this would be better. So they actually just go in there. They just like make a new quick draft of the game and let them go in there and try it. I read all of the patch notes about a month ago, and constantly just changing the way like things move, just a hair to the left, just a hair to the right.
Yeah.
Making some sections more difficult.
Yeah.
And it is puzzles at some point.
It is
some
puzzles.
of it is I see the gameplay that they need me to do, and sometimes you got those Kevin blocks. Those
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
which they were originally called something else, but Kevin is the sound designer, and he's the guy that makes the noise.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah.
So they just started calling him Kevin blocks.
Love that.
I think
do
he's the
enjoy
only one
that.
who probably doesn't call him Kevin blocks. But yeah, and man, at Games Done Quick, they even were just like goofing off. There's a famous speedrunner called Covert Muffin who has a very unique laugh. They recorded him in a closet.
I love all the names of these people.
Covert Muffin's great. He's really cool. They recorded him.
Grand Pooh Bear.
Grand Pooh Bear is wonderful.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just think their names are just hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, Night Rune was my gamer tag.
It still is.
It still is, yeah. Look it up, but it's where it is. I mean, what does a 7th grader think is cool? I thought Night Rune was the shit. I'm like, that's
actually
me.
not bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's got both like knights and runes.
Like magic and stuff.
It's
and
it's
knights.
physical and magic at the same time. So
Mine is All Colors Sam. It's based off of a cryptid from the town of Sandown in England.
And what is Tom's famous?
Oh, camel toe lover with a K.
You love to see it. You love to see it.
I love to see it, and I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like,
Yep.
I'm like, you are not the person for this. Yeah. Every time I looked at him,
It's going to be too late if you're listening to this, but we're going to go watch Tom's Olivia Newton cover band today.
That's gonna be fun.
At Bastille Days.
Oh,
He's
nice.
playing the John Travolta character for a
Nice.
song. Yep. I'm excited for
What
that.
time are you guys going out that way? I think
Pretty much right after this, we're
Okay.
going to stroll down to Bastille Days.
I think later, yeah, we were gonna go as well.
I have to do one round of moving, but we're just
that's
going to
right.
drop all this stuff off, and then I'm going to meet you guys there probably.
So we'll talk a little bit about some of the verbs. I mentioned coyote time, the 5 frames. There's a thing called spike jumping where you
Why do they call it coyote time?
yeah, thank you.
because Wile E. Coyote, he goes off the cliff.
Oh, that
And you
rules.
get a moment to react.
Yeah.
That's why it's called coyote
That's
time.
cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, other games have that too, but
It's the illusion of pure control.
Yeah.
That's what I like about video games too. It's giving you an experience, and I kind of like that idea. Like, most video games are power fantasies at the core and escapism. So I love how they manipulate your perception.
Yeah.
And, like, they're like, oh well, good job, but you still suck.
Yeah.
some advanced gameplay. There are things that you don't need to do through the main story mode.
Yeah.
Chapters 1 through 8, if you only do the A sides, you never have to learn how to wall bounce. And that is where if you dash up to an edge of a wall, and as you're dashing up, once you hit that wall, you can hit jump, and it'll give you like a boost jump, and you'll like be able to go up around things. It's integral in Farewell. They teach you how to do that.
Yeah.
You have to do
So-
wave dashing into wall bouncing, and that was... I was like, well, I guess I'll just never beat this game.
I think it's really cool how they grab stuff that speedrunners were
Yep.
using, and then in Farewell they were implementing it. So then normies, basic players, were actually able to they're like, okay, here we're gonna teach you more advanced techniques, because in order to get through this, you have to know how to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Because Farewell is just
They implemented it into like their new DLC, their free DLC, because the speedrunners were doing things that I don't know if they were originally intended. There are things that weren't.
I don't think so. Yeah. But what I liked is because more often than not, you get a lot of companies or game developers that they stifle that community, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, no, we don't want you to play it this way. But they did the complete opposite. They were like, cool, you found some really dope shit, and you're making the game more fun, right? And you're skinning the cat in this other way. Let's run with that. Which is
cough, Diablo.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Blizzard.
Yeah. So it's really cool to see. I just think it's cool when they do give the power to the gamers in that sense, right?
Oh yeah. Even a game, like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, the fact that they have not only the speedrunning tools there, like just in-game timer, but they also have randomizers built into a Metroidvania where every time you kill a monster, you'll get a random different spirit, or all of the items are moved around, and they're locked in a way that makes sense. Randomizers are amazing, and console gamers like myself, we don't get to partake in that nonsense. I watched one.
Shame on you for even liking them.
I watched one GameStone Quick. They did a Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past Super Metroid randomizer where you'd get items for the other game in either spot, and you'd go between doors into Metroid or back into Zelda.
That's awesome.
Oh, that rules.
I was like, what the fuck are these guys doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So wall bouncing, dash up towards a wall, you can get an extended jump, becomes very important. Wave dashing is when you jump and then you dash diagonal down into the ground and you slide, and then you're able to get a jump. So you get that dash jump speed, but you maintain not having it, like you still carry your dash because you were on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you carry your dash with you. Turns out I wasn't wave dashing at all until this recent playthrough, my recent story mode playthrough, because I never watched the fucking tutorial. I was hyper dashing, which is different.
Oh, sure.
Hyper dashing is where you don't jump and you just down dash while you're on the ground already.
Yeah. You just skid. You didn't do the simple up down kind of.
I didn't do the jump first, and the jump gets you more height, but hyper dashing gets you more length. So it's either higher or longer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which made some things tougher, but I put down the things beyond me section. Extended supers and reverse extended supers, reverse hypers, extended hypers, and reverse extended hypers, reverse wave dash, ultra, where you're able to accumulate your speed. Dude, I don't get any of it.
I legitimately, I really admire people who know what this shit is.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm just even when we were talking about the Street Fighter series.
Yeah.
I was just like, what do you mean? I know how to play Street Fighter. Low punch, high punch, mid punch. I get it. But then suddenly they're just
this one, they added this kind of meter, and it's got 7 different functions. You can have setting A, B, or quantum.
Yeah.
Have you even touched?
Why do I need
Bro,
that?
have you ever touched thunder combos? I'm like, what do you mean?
I play as Honda.
Yeah.
The car, not the man.
Demo dash is something that, again, I have never demo dashed once. It is a weird thing where you can actually go through spikes sometimes.
Oh.
Demo dashing is when you dash down, then immediately within 4 frames or 0.066 seconds, release the down key. Then you dash horizontally while remaining crouched.
Yeah, to your point, how do you figure that out?
Yeah.
How do you figure that out?
I think it was an accident.
It has to be, right?
But speedrunners do it on certain rooms.
I don't think my eyes can do that.
When things come down to
the frames that fast?
Oh, I can't do it.
No.
And the frame perfect tricks are madness.
Yeah.
I watched a guy blindfolded beat Punch Out for the Wii. And not only are you doing frame perfect tricks, he can't see them.
Yeah.
And it's just all it's muscle memory. It's just
my reaction speed is just not that
It's not that,
good.
yeah.
It's just not. And
well,
the
it's not
older I
reactions
get,
at that point. It is
it's literally knowing when to
Memorization.
do it.
Yeah. Well, it's like I watch a lot of Formula One racing.
Yeah, sure.
And these guys, they do a lot of sim time, when they're not actually racing. But I've been seeing these videos where they'll, this, they put on a headset and then they're like, tell me which track this is without any context. So they hear the engine, and based off of the downshifting and upshifting.
Sure.
They're like,
the weight of the car.
no, just hearing it.
Really?
They'll be like, yeah, that's Monza. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, it's incredible because they've just done it a million times.
Yeah. I've seen them doing reflex tests with wide receivers in the NFL. Dude. And like the wide receivers in the NFL go first and catching balls that are thrown at them. And they are super fast. And then Formula One, it's like watching fucking Goku. He doesn't even move. The ball just is all of a sudden
ultra
in his hand.
instinct.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
So it's crazy how we can train our brain to do stuff like that, where it's like, I've done this so many times, I can do it fucking blindfolded, right?
Yeah. And back when I was learning some of these techniques, that one screen where you had to wave dash to save your dash, get a major distance, and then wall dash up and do a wall bounce. I sat there for a week. No, I'd come back and I'm like,
just getting angry,
and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. There are sometimes I jumped onto message boards. And, I've been on the Celeste Discord asking questions. They're super helpful and friendly.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm like, why aren't these bumpers acting the way I want? Like this, you're either like holding the direction, like you're holding back too much after you hit it. I still don't. Bumpers are the things that I don't understand completely. Otherwise,
bumper, like the thing that pushes you. You're talking
about?
Like
a pinball bumper.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes my guy does. Madeline doesn't do at all what I want her to.
Oh, sure.
But that's a demo dash. There's also a demo hyper, whatever the fuck that is.
Well, this brings up another thing that you were talking about earlier when we were watching you play a little. The controller is the most important part of this game.
Oh man, I have been so angry with controllers lately with this game.
I've gotten really picky as I'm getting older and like more like set in my ways.
It's one thing if you're playing Kentucky Route Zero, where
left and right,
or you're playing Vampire Survivors. All right, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Stick.
Yeah.
Give me stick.
Yeah.
But so for Celeste, the last 2 months I played a lot. I played through it on Switch with both the handheld Joy-Cons. I've done it with the Pro controller, and I've done with the new Hori Pad, whatever I got controller.
Do you feel like there's a difference between the Xbox and the Switch when you play? Like, because I feel when I play Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, like an incredible game, but I do notice that it definitely does play different than when I'm playing, let's say, like The Witcher on the Xbox or The Witcher on my computer.
Oh, sure, but what kind of controller are you using with your Switch? Is it just the Joy-Cons?
I have the Pro, and then I have the Joy-Cons. Yeah.
Okay, so the Pro controller is pretty good.
Yeah,
I think it's the best for Celeste out of the Switch.
Sure. I mean, even I've been playing a game called Neon White again.
Oh yeah, that's a cool game.
Neon White rules.
Yeah,
that is also an example of what could be compared to Celeste.
Yeah.
And doing that on the Joy-Cons is insufferable. You need an actual controller in your hands because it's a lot of triggers. And you can't just do it when your hands are all crumpled up like little raptor fingers.
I'm like, I understand this is also geared to kids, but I'm a grown-ass man.
When I stopped playing Tears of the Kingdom with the Joy-Cons, my experience went like through the roof.
100%. Yeah,
I was just like, these Joy-Cons do not work for me.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get the precision.
They'll get you through a pinch, like if you're in an airplane, sure. But like,
well, you have to.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But like, at home, I only use the Pro controller.
Yeah.
And what it really comes down to with Celeste is the D-pad.
The D-pad.
I was analog the entire way.
That blows my fucking mind.
The entire way. I tried.
Wait.
I played on the PlayStation.
Your
5.
analog stick as well?
Only
Analog stick. That blows my mind.
When I am using the D-pad for
you
this
don't even
game,
have to move. Really, you can just do it with the D-pad. It's a quicker response.
No, it breaks my brain.
After this, I'm going home and booting up Celeste and using the D-pad. I didn't even think about it.
It's a learning. It'll be a learning curve. Bud.
Yeah, they told me to do it because I was having trouble, and
your reaction time goes up.
Infinitely better with the analog stick.
Really,
I have way more control.
I think I think I can understand the D-pad perspective. A lot of times, it's my diagonals that get fucked up.
Oh,
yeah, diagonals were tough, but I was having trouble doing basic shit because I just never used D-pads.
Yeah, and I usually don't. Yeah,
I've been on an analog stick for
since Nam.
This must be kind of gamer generational.
I don't know.
I might be the cutoff because
to me, if it's a 2D game, it's
I am always going to use the D-pad. Yeah, every single time.
Except for the feathers. When I need to do precision feathering, I jump to the analog stick and then back to the D-pad as soon as I'm out of the feather.
Really? Yeah. I mean, that could be, if you guys grew up playing with the NES
it's precision.
Yeah.
It's needing to like hit right or up at specific moments, which is why I really hate playing this game with the PS5. And like,
because it's mushy, you said?
It's mushy.
Yeah.
The D-pad?
Yeah, because it's not like individual like buttons. It's just like that like D-pad.
It's still technically an analog stick almost.
Yeah, that's why I don't really. I've never really liked the PlayStation controller.
Yeah,
I've always liked the Xbox one better overall.
Oh yeah,
I feel like the design is just better for me. Whether Xbox or PS or Sony aside, right? Not that argument. Just controller wise, I always like the Xbox one better.
I just recently had sex. Like a year ago.
Congratulations.
Dude, let's go.
I just hit record right there. I just recently had sex. Let's go. Talking about relationships and video games off the air here. Mm-hmm. And we're back, everybody. Collectibles. We already mentioned strawberries. Some variations of the flying strawberries. If you dash, they will fly away from you.
Every time.
Cassette tapes. You'll find a cassette in every A side of a chapter, which unlocks the B sides. And then there are hearts and heart pieces. Mm-hmm. And that is involved. The heart pieces. Yeah, okay, those are later on in chapter 7. But our main character, let's talk about Madeline. Madeline's a 21-year-old woman, decides to climb Celeste Mountain to regain self-esteem and deal with her mental health issues. The somewhat magical mountain challenges her, as well as the opposition from within herself. So, this game handles mental health in a pretty accurate way. Mm-hmm. I feel the anxieties Madeline feels not because of the spike traps, but self-doubt. The chapters, she even has a manifestation of herself that's like, you're not good enough, you can't do this, just give up.
Who also ends up being one of the few like combat-focused sections of the game.
Yeah. The boss battles, if you want to call them that.
They're barely. No.
It's like a unique challenge.
Yeah. Yes. It's fun.
Yeah.
I think they're nice little breaks within the system itself.
But, so Madeline, we don't know. What something that I think is really good about this game, too, is we don't know why Madeline is super having this big struggle. There's one point where she enters a dream section in Chapter 2. That's when she meets Madeline, which is the unofficial name for her other self. They call her Madeline. And during the dream, you see Madeline, but then at the end of the dream, there's a phone call section where she is talking to what is her ex, and the ex is like, you're not good enough, and clearly this is a dream because otherwise I wouldn't even be talking to you right now. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Yeah, it was tough.
And I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody hates me.
Dylan, you got great mental health.
No.
You're beaming these days.
Oh, I'm doing all right.
We've all struggled. I've struggled a lot with mental health. Like, it's just, it's a part of being alive.
Yeah.
Well, it's a part of living in America.
In society.
It's also something that I take it seriously, but you have to laugh about it. You have to kind of like, I think when you start this game out, she's very like grumpy and almost like curt with people, and she can't really handle it. But as you move along and you meet like companions and friends, what's the name of the
Theo?
Yeah.
Okay,
love Theo.
I like Theo a lot. And he's just he's like super friendly, and he's just like, hey, what's up? You want to hang out? And
selfie.
Yeah.
And it's like what they say, YOLO.
Yeah.
The one time.
Very endearing. But he has his own struggles he's going through as well. But yeah, like at the beginning, she is untrustworthy. The granny character, who's just old woman at first, she like laughs at her, and
I like her design a lot.
Yeah.
It's simple.
But Madeline's insecurities make her immediately believe like they're making fun of me. this is making me uncomfortable. I just want to get away and push people away to make things easier. But yeah, you meet Theo in chapter 2. Theo's just climbing a mountain for the sick Instagram posts.
Yeah.
Which he actually does have an Instagram. If you haven't checked it out, look up Theo under stars.
Really?
It's got unique artwork from his experience going up the mountain. So you can see like artwork that they did of him climbing around in like the vents in the hotel.
Can't you meet him in chapter 1? Isn't he by a plane,
that's
a
sick.
plane crash?
That might be chapter 1. It's chapter 1 or
I believe it's chapter
Because
1.
I missed him the first go around on chapter 1. Because
You meet at his campsite. I remember
really
that
cool.
specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Give him a little follow.
And yeah, Theo's Madeline's homie going up the mountain. And yeah, but we meet the old woman right away. And Dylan, you're saying you really like her?
She's an awesome design. I like old cackling crones like in stories. And you can also tell she's just kind of kind-hearted. She just lives at basically the base of the mountain. And she's just like, you can't do it. Like, who knows? Like, but I think she secretly knows, like, hey, you can do it if you want. Who gives a fuck? It's like the first trial is just like, there's no refusal of the call in her hero's story. She just wants to go up the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, Madeline is going through a lot of self-doubt, and she decides, I'm climbing a fucking mountain. And she runs into a lot of opposition and things that tell her not to.
It's a great analogy because when I have a bad day and I'm like, I need to get out of this rut, I clean my kitchen.
Right. Yeah.
That's my mountain.
Yeah.
Fucking finally.
You clean that kitchen, you're like, I feel great.
Yeah.
And then Devin comes in and just makes a
it's like
fucking
fucking
mess.
Hurricane Devin.
Yeah.
It's super cheap.
Chapter 1 introduces us to a lot of the concepts. We get introduced to the granny character, and she says, it's tougher than you think. There's a lot of weird things in the mountain. There is a supernatural element to the mountain, which is cool. For a while, it seemed like it could just be a part of her head. Even when she gets knocked off the mountain after chapter 6, she wakes up from a dream and she's like at the edge of the mountain. So it's not specific like Madeline's physical manifestation. Chapter 2, she enters her dream world. And chapter 3, though, is where we run into Mr. Oshiro. I used to hate. I think I just don't like the hotel level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
I have.
It's not fabulous.
No.
I've
But I don't
come
think
to
and I don't think it's supposed to be either.
Yeah.
It's supposed to feel run down, supposed to feel cluttered, it's supposed to feel these things, right?
Yeah, trapped and claustrophobic.
Yeah. It's not supposed to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I do like Theo. He's like, no, fuck that dude. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, props.
My
are-
exact reaction, I'd be like, what?
I'm not gonna help the ghost hotel keeper.
Yeah.
It's like, they can stay there.
I did like kind of what you said about Granny though, that she's kind of saying like, hey, this is tough, right? I feel that there's many times, but it's tough, but you can do it, kind of thing. Where it's like sometimes you don't need someone to just like coddle you and be like, no, yeah, you got it. It's like, no, like this is gonna suck ass.
Yeah.
And it's gonna test you, but you have to believe that you can do it, right? And the whole like, I feel like in general, like the whole mountain allegory is obviously like a very tried and true trope, right? But I feel like they did it's just because it's a very tried and true trope doesn't mean that they made it like cliche, right?
No.
They made it very special.
The mountain is like the straight up metaphor for climbing out of a bad situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that the game achieves that really well. This could have been cringy.
Yeah.
There's a game I played called Gris. It's GRIS.
I've heard of it.
And it is just saccharine. It's
Oh,
beautiful, but it's saccharine and a little heavy-handed with the
Yeah.
idea of what you're doing is kind of guilt-based and shame-based.
Sure.
I'm just like, okay, come on. Like couching it within an actual struggle that you have to do in the game.
Yeah.
That's almost like it is almost a metatextual metaphor.
Sure. Yeah.
So
bit of a burden.
Yeah. And it's nice seeing. Now, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Madeline is trans, right?
Madeline is a trans character, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing that is explicit in the game
Oh,
so much.
sure.
It's something that was revealed later on. And we can talk about, I wanted to talk about that at the end, like kind of how it came about.
Sure.
But yeah, it's part of, I think, her journey, her struggle is possibly
Yeah.
due to being trans,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
don't actually address it in the game. So it could just be struggling from a relationship. One thing I think is great about it, though, is that it is not like shoved in your face. It's not like this is, look, it's the MCU. We got two ladies kissing.
Sure. Yes.
It's not like them pandering. It's like, no, that's just a part of the character. And then it's just,
because it should be normalized, right? Like it shouldn't be like a show. It's like being gay, being trans should just be part of normal society, right? It shouldn't. It doesn't need to be like, much like heterosexual relationships don't need to be spotlighted, right? I feel like it's on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Although unfortunately that's usually not the case.
Tell that
Right.
to the theocratic fascists. running our
Whoa,
government.
yeah, no,
But
in exactly right. But
that's
yeah,
the first time Dylan said theocratic fascist this episode. I think Oshiro's great as a reflection of Madeline. Oshiro is stuck in his ways, refuses to like acknowledge that he is a ghost and that the hotel is beyond saving. But it's kind of like how Frodo like needs to believe that Gollum can be saved and needs to try. Madeline does try to save Oshiro. Madeline pisses him off, and then he chases you off the top of the hotel. This is all still like just to get to the top of the mountain. You actually have to pass through the hotel. Must be the only road. But the next chapter is Golden Ridge. Madeline again encounters the old woman who says the mountain shows you who you really are, whether you're ready for it or not. This introduces like clouds, green bubbles, stupid wind mechanics.
The wind mechanic was probably my least favorite thing.
really, I wouldn't say like I loved it, but I did like the weather aspect. You gotta think you're on a mountain.
There would be wind.
There would be wind.
Yeah,
right.
I don't
So
like
that
that.
that was really cool.
I didn't like that it took like control away from me as I was like just starting to grasp the game. I'm getting into it.
Sure.
It added a dynamic that I was not down with.
Got
I was
it.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm already struggling enough.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't need stupid wind. And then once, I mean, like any other mechanic in the game, once you get the hang of it, it is a lot of fun. But that was my biggest hurdle. I think I put the game down for a couple days when I was like, I just don't want to fuck with the wind.
Yeah.
They could have also put ice in there. Thank God they didn't do
Oh my
Also,
God.
yeah,
ice
you're right.
mechanics.
Yeah.
At one point, they fully were designing underwater, like an underwater chapter, and they're like, "This isn't really good."
This
Yeah.
is a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah,
It turns out most people don't like water levels
No.
in video games.
or wind. Yeah, wind.
Oh,
is,
they just came out with a whole game that's underwater, and it's got really good reviews. Dave the Diver.
Oh, I never even
Yeah,
heard of it.
check it out.
maybe if there's no non-water sections, you
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
accept it as the way it is.
Yeah.
I do find the wind horrible. Try doing a seaside with the
Well,
wind.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it gets pretty ridiculous. Yeah, chapter 4 is just like the least story-centric chapter.
Because I feel like it's also a turning point, right? I feel like almost like after chapter 4 is when you go into the Temple of Mirrors,
The Mirror Temple, yeah.
Mirror Temple, and then it's like the dial starts to crank up a little bit.
Yeah, the Mirror Temple is the first super long section. At the end of chapter 4, you run.
It felt forever.
It's the chapter I think I died the most on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ride a gondola up with Theo, who breaks the stick on the gondola. You get trapped, and then you have a panic attack. And I love the fucking sound design of a panic attack in this
Yeah.
game. It is just intense, and Theo teaches her a method for calming down, focusing on a feather up and down, which they use later, which is kind of cool.
I loved how even when she lashed out at him, he didn't hold that over her head.
He's super He's super
like,
level-headed.
Yeah, yeah.
He
he was just like, hey, like I understand, but like don't take this out on me. But he was very like, just like you said, calm and kind about it. Like he wasn't a dickhead, which he could have been, right?
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
And we learned more about Theo in the Mirror Temple as well. The Mirror Temple is a manifestation of the inner thoughts of both characters. So the eyes that are following everyone around is partially influenced by Theo. That's like Theo's influence on that level. He doesn't like that his little sister, who's going to doctor school, is so successful, and he's just like, got an Instagram.
It's cool. They're foils to each other. One person wants to get noticed really bad, and the other one just kind of wants to disappear. That's cool.
Yeah. It's cool. If you go to Theo Understars on Instagram, he actually is doing a road trip in Vancouver, and he hitchhikes with the two creators of the game. You can actually see the Noel Berry and Maddie Thorson in a picture with like Theo's like found these cool people.
That's cute.
On a road
That's
trip.
really cool. I like that they did that.
And Granny, actually, if you go into Theo Understars, when he's waiting for Madeline to come down the mountain, he's hanging out in Granny's house, and he's like, "Why does she have this sick gamer chair?" And it's just Granny sitting in a little gamer chair. She's a big gamer sitting there.
She's got a Pico 8.
It probably does.
Yeah, she's got like a dope ass big gaming chair. It was kind of funny. Yeah, the Mirror Temple though is a long level. It is. This is very puzzle centric.
Super.
Having to go explore a lot.
Yeah.
It's where you'll run into a locked door and you have to go all the fuck around looking for what you find is like 20 strawberries and then the key.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then you get into multiple sections like that, and then you get to the Theo trapped in the crystal puzzle.
Yeah.
And you have to carry Theo while these things are attacking you.
It is fucking impossible.
But you did it.
I did it. And
So it's not impossible.
I probably died platforming and just regular throughout the entire level up till that point, maybe 150 times.
Jeez.
I died 557 times overall, just in chapter 5.
Damn.
And they all came from these fucking little monsters. They are like heat-seeking missiles.
They're like the worst. They're the worst. They're like what are they like? Just like giant fish monster
and
things.
they
They introduce him and you control, so it's like Madeline's subconscious doubts attacking her.
Yeah.
But so you can jump on them to like knock them out for a little bit or hide behind one of the barriers. But I feel like when I tried to jump and land on them, they stutter step and like juke you out. Like they slow down all of a sudden so that your jump goes right over them or you drop right before them.
There are some sections in the B side and C side where you actually have to get way out over a thing and then bounce off of them at the right point to get far enough. And that's a mess.
Yeah.
The game is also kind of like a dance. It's where you have to figure out where things are going to happen each time and then kind of course correct based on that, which sometimes I really like that in video games and sometimes it annoys the piss out of me. So I understand where you're coming from. It's definitely like, but when you succeed, like I was talking about Neon White earlier, when you nail that and you get like an ace platinum, you're just like,
I am the greatest gamer alive.
you just feel really good because it's all run and gun shooting and then discarding your cards and then picking up new ones and figuring out how this really needs to go.
And you call your wife over, you're like, it only took me 15 deaths. And she's like, good.
Sick. Good for you.
Good. And you're happy?
Yeah.
She goes, that's great, baby. And I'm like,
so
yeah,
sick.
it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess I'm pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. you are.
What's really fun about these monsters, whatever they're called, I forget their names, but the levels before have one way to do it, they're kind of stationary. If there's something that's a moving piece, it goes back.
Yep.
But with this, it turns into you have to change up your strategy because things will be in different spots. And with Theo, you have to throw him, and sometimes you have to catch him. You have to there's multiple paths. I like that it becomes a little bit more of just straight up challenge where you have to like improvise.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. The B-sides are, you can actually, if you get the cassette while you're doing the A-side, you can quit out, go right into the B-side, and when you beat the B-side, it goes to the next part of the story. It can, you don't actually have to beat the A-sides. You can just like get the cassettes and only beat B-sides, never beat A-sides once to finish the game. And that's one of the speedrun strategies for Mirror Temple. You get the cassette and you quit out because the B-side's much quicker. You have much less of those like big puzzle sections.
That's cool how they did that.
Yeah, it's weird the way that works. But in the B-side, Theo, the B-sides don't have any story content. It's just like the things that were introduced gameplay-wise. They're like, all right, well, this, but turned up to 10, and also like with those things like dream blocks.
Yeah.
You go through them. If you hold back and grab, you come out the other side, and you can just hold right on instead of going off the end. They teach you new mechanics about the way things work, but with Theo, is the only like story at all in the B-sides. He says, "Yo, this isn't canon, right?"
Love that.
And even at one point, you have to do this really crazy like throw and then jump, like double dash, like this crazy long section with him. And he walks through and was like, "This isn't even possible." Dude. And I'm like, he's saying what we're thinking.
Yeah.
The Mirror Temple, though, you get through it. Theo thinks it was a dream. Turns out it wasn't. But there is a really cool section here where there's a long dialogue scene between the two characters, between Theo and Madeline, where it's just like, if I skipped this, every time I played it except the first and the most recent. But it's just them talking back and forth and asking questions. You can choose to skip it if you want, but it's a really good portal into what's going on with the characters.
Yeah.
It's a nice moment. And Madeline wants to take a selfie at this point. But she has the idea, I can just tell Madeline to leave. I don't need her anymore. And I love this scene. When she goes up, she's like, "I don't need you anymore, Madeline. Go be free." And Madeline's like, "Fuck you."
When she crawls out of her little...
Out of the box.
I was like, yo, what's going on? That was, it's so well done.
Yeah.
It is terrifying.
Well, and
it's exciting.
It's her trying to say, like, "I don't need you anymore. Thanks for trying to help me." But it's like denying part of who she is, and rather than accept, like, I can be an asshole. It's trying to say that get rid of the asshole parts. Like, no, you're still an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I've had to deal with that.
Well, you can't escape what you really feel. Like, you can bury it, but it's still just something you have to live with anyway. So you got to kind of know who you are, and part of you is, there's upsides and there's downsides to everything, and then it's learning to maybe not shut it out, but understand it and work through it.
There's a little goth Brad inside of me.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's a
his name is Badly.
Yep. And mine is just the D-Man. Yeah.
And it's actually like the Christian, like buttoned up version of you. He's like, pay your taxes more.
I pay my taxes. I just don't think I should.
Yeah. No, but he for sure thinks you should.
Oh man.
Yeah.
He's like, can I give more?
Yeah.
There's this section where I felt really attacked in this conversation too, where Theo's like, "Well, what do you do to handle how you feel?" She's like, "I drink mostly."
Yeah. I wasn't ready for that line.
And she's like quiet about it. I'm like, that's for real, dude.
Hey, yeah. Sometimes you got to self-medicate. I can't smoke weed. Come on
now.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
yes,
I like weed. Leave me alone.
Madeline goes ape shit, and then at this point, Madeline falls down the entire fucking mountain.
Yeah. That was a little defeating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like maybe she's ready to kind of give it in, but she talks with Granny and she gets back on there. They introduce the Kevin blocks here, which these guys are pretty cool.
I also like how, you fall down the mountain, but the scene changes, right? And even though like you feel defeated and whatever, but like now it's like there's a lot more like green, more water.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more
brighter.
lush. Yeah. So like it definitely changes it up a little bit. Introduces the blocks, the Kevin blocks.
Yep, and the feathers.
And the
Which
feathers.
is my favorite mechanic. Probably.
Yeah.
You like the feathers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an
I enjoy them
analog guy,
too.
so it was like just natural.
Yeah.
That's when I had to use. I went over to the analog stick. I jumped my thumb over for that.
Yeah, I was
You
already
need
living there.
that for that
Yeah.
precision controls. It's weird.
There I was just using a Joy-Con doing that shit. It's fine.
Here I am using my dance pad from Dance Dance Revolution.
Essentially,
I beat
yeah.
this on a Guitar Hero controller.
That'd be
wish.
crazy.
I would be impressed.
She meets up with Badeline at the end. There's like a mini boss fight section where you have to get to Badeline. Essentially, she's trying to hug her to death, and Badeline keeps pushing her away. When Badeline rejoins you, though, you get the power of pink hair, which is 2 dashes. Mm-hmm. And Theo meets Badeline. He's like, "Whoa, goth version of you? That's awesome." YOLO, Theo, I'm with you, man. But I love Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is my most replayed section of the game, for sure. Chapter 7, it's you climbing the entire fucking mountain. Yep. So you get like bite-sized chunks of all the levels, like a greatest hits of.
It's a montage, essentially.
Yeah.
It's great.
Structured a lot like a movie because when you fall from the top of the mountain all the way down to the bottom, you have that like, all right, the protagonists they're in the pits. This is the low point,
Yeah.
and then you have that Rocky-esque,
Absolutely.
fucking just crushing it montage.
Yeah.
In
The
Campbellian terms, it's called the flight from without.
The pacing, I felt like
Very good.
despite me dying
Bringing
4,000
a real
times.
Yeah.
scholarly
Great.
edge.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I interrupted you.
You're good.
Yeah, I love the summit. I find it very replayable. Also, the toughest crystal heart to get in the game because you have to collect like 6 different, like a thing in each section of the level to get the crystal heart at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
I didn't do it.
I'm not about that life.
if you don't get
I'm
all the
not a
crystal hearts, you
completionist.
can't do farewell. Have you done farewell?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've gotten it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you have to get all of them in one playthrough of this. But you get to the summit, you get to the very top, and you enjoy the view for as long as you want. Badeline reflects that she cannot continue to exist outside of Celeste Mountain, but they kind of realize, I'll still be inside of you. I just won't be a separate Dylan inside the same room. It'll be 2 Dylans inside the same man.
Duality.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really like that, and like it's, I feel like at first, like the first time I played it, I guess I didn't realize because at first I was like, oh, you know, it's just a platformer, right? And it wasn't, I think, till this point that I was like, okay, there's like a lot going on, you know, like much like deeper than what I thought this was, and seeing how. You know, this is a struggle that I feel most of us can relate to, right? But you at first, Madeline's pushing her away, and now it's like you're kind of accepting yourself. And then when she starts to accept herself, she's actually starting to do better,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And it's really cool. And yeah, you're not always gonna crush it, but you're not gonna get to where you want if you don't start at least like loving yourself a little bit, accepting yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a constant struggle. You're gonna go up, you're gonna go down, right? It's never gonna be perfect.
Self-acceptance.
Absolutely.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
It's like what Dylan said earlier, how like the whole idea of the depression, what's the word I'm looking for, analogy, and throughout this entire game could be very corny.
Yeah.
But I found it to be totally endearing.
And empowering.
Yeah, as a 30-year-old dude, I was like, I'm here for this. This is fucking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also a really great example of less is more.
Yeah.
It's a little more subtle. It allows you to process things because even as like you get to like these little story beats, they don't go on too long.
Yeah.
You kind of get the right idea, and then everything is about you contextualizing it as you move through the next section. And that really works. I think a lot of games could learn a lot from this because lately I've been playing games where it is just dialogue fucking city. And I'm like, I get it. I know how to play a Pikmin game. Stop talking to me and let me run around with my little guys. Like, it's all just like, it's all fucking talking all the time. And I'm like, I understand you crafted these characters and whatever. I'm a part of this rescue squad. But I was like, come on.
Less is more.
It's like, do you think this is actually funny? Do you think people laughed at this? No, stick to games.
Yeah.
You are not a comedy writer.
We are not here for the character arc of the Pikmin.
Well, I mean, like...
Speak for yourself, Brad.
Well, the demo...
just the new dog character.
Well, the demo of Pikmin 4, like, it was so enigmatic, emblematic of what I think is pretty wrong in video games today, where the game is the most important thing. And I think you agree with me, Brad, that playing a game, if it feels good, is the most superseding aspect of any video game. I can play a game with a trash story as long as it feels nice to play.
I still don't know what happened in Death Stranding, but I loved every second of it.
I mean, we did analyze it pretty well. We got it pretty close.
Yeah, the goop monsters. Sure. Troy Baker is a pizza delivery driver, some shit, whatever.
I think I'm the opposite of that because I'm not saying I've never played a mind-numbing game that doesn't have any value, but like Disco Elysium kind of played like shit.
But that is in the vein of a very specific style.
Sure.
So there's a way in which you can play that game and it's not necessarily supposed to feel tight.
Yeah.
It is essentially a point and click and your character.
Well, that one's yeah.
But when I fail a dice roll that's way beyond my capability, I said, "Do you want to make fuck with me?" I'm like, this is the greatest gameplay ever.
Because their dialogue, I mean, and that game was strictly dialogue, right? And they just nailed it.
To me, it's the most difficult thing to explain. It's game feel. Yeah. And it's much like with beer, like describing the mouthfeel of a beer is the most difficult thing to explain to people.
Working at Lost Whale, that was one of the biggest hurdles that I had to get through, where it's like I'd work with these guys that were so eloquent when it came to like describing tasting notes.
And you're like, yummy.
And when I first started working, I would like, they're like, so what do you think? And I'm like, it's like super good.
But you need that common man aspect.
Yeah,
Never lose it. No, I'm serious though. It's like
it's
one of those things where it all breaks down to personal taste, but then you also have to factor in intent. Mm-hmm. And I think that in this game, the intent was so solid that it's just like we knew exactly the product we wanted to give you.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
And blending that is super difficult because I'll tell you this much. I played The Last of Us when it first came out. I thought it was good. I was like, yeah. And then when that remaster came out for the PS4, I was like, oh, this doesn't control very well.
At least they added The Office in there, right? They added a new section which is based on the layout of The Office TV show.
Oh, really?
Did they?
Yeah. I don't know. Either way, I think the gameplay still sucks. But
I mean, and it's fine. But Tyler, you're well known for preferring almost a cinematic storytelling type of video game. I think that's where you fall in line. What in terms of this game itself? How much did that part mean to you? Could you have done this without those story beats and still appreciated it, or would you have enjoyed something that would have just been pure, just run and gun?
The story definitely played a very big part in me continuing to play this game with how challenging it was. Mm-hmm. If there was no story, then the game feels fantastic, and I liked how tight it was. But without any motivation, I probably would have dipped out pretty early.
Yeah, I feel the same. I would have been like, what the fuck's the point?
Because for me, my favorite thing about video games, if I'm really diving in, is experiencing a story or, getting to do something that you wouldn't be able to do in normal life.
Yeah, something that compels you.
Yeah, and this journey of climbing the mountain and its relation to mental health, I mean, it struck a chord with me, and I was able to relate early on. Without that, I don't think I would have been able to play this game.
Conversely, our last episode we had Jack on, Jack Packard, and he said, He's like, don't give a fuck about story. It's gameplay. I'm here for the gameplay.
Sure.
I absolutely adore the story.
That's the dichotomy of gamers, right?
But I also, just the gameplay alone got me to come back. Like, I love Madeline, but I don't need the story again. I'm super glad it's there. But
yeah.
Well, that's why I've played The Witcher and Red Dead like 2-3 times a piece. I don't need the story.
I'm on like hour 250 of The Witcher, playing it again.
I don't need the story anymore. I just like cutting up Nilfgaardian soldiers.
Agreed. I just like that kind of lore too, though. So I'm a sucker for that shit.
Turn up the difficulty and go on a hunt.
Literally, being like a Witcher.
Yeah, like taking it serious.
It's like
I love the Hemsworths.
You gotta craft those elixirs, man. You gotta craft those potions.
Meditation? What's meditation? I don't meditate. I heal with milk.
Yeah. As an adult, I was like, if someone was like, what's your favorite, if you could be a superhero, who would you be? And I was like, Geralt of Rivia.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
That's the superhero I want to be, for sure.
Yeah.
You want to have, it's so funny. Throughout the lore of this, even if you read the books in The Witcher, I know this is a tangent.
I have 2 of the books.
But in the lore, they're like, oh, Geralt experiences no emotions. That motherfucker is feeling everything.
Yeah.
I think he can experience them. It's hard. He can't
express it very well,
them.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Getting back to what you were saying about less is more.
Yeah.
This game works very well at keeping the story at the beginning and the end, keeping the scenes small and to the point. One thing I love that they do with this is they don't explicitly say Madeline's depressed because of a bad relationship and this happened in her life and this happened in her life. It's just like, it's relatable because it's just about mental health struggles, not about what caused the mental health struggle.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that it's...
not trying to psychoanalyze why they became that way.
It's just relatable for everybody instead of... If they were to say, this is about Madeline's journey with being trans, and they make it explicitly about that, it would be not as easy for everyone to relate to. And it is about that, and it's also about a breakup. It's also about just self-doubt. It's about all of these things, which you bring to the table your own
and then later
fucked
on,
up history.
Yeah, everybody's got some baggage, and this story just kind of fits whatever is going on in your life. You can relate to it.
Well, it's almost I would call it like a mystical psycho-realism, if that sounds too highfalutin. It's kind of like... the story it's telling is essentially just one big metaphor, but it's
climbing
doing it
a mountain.
Exactly.
It couldn't be the more obvious metaphor.
Yeah.
And so
it works, but it's like so on the nose.
Yeah.
And then you get like mystical powers that help you get through it, and it's all supposed to be metaphors for gaining new abilities, new coping mechanisms, yada yada. And I think that on that level, it completely just blows it out of the water.
Yeah. And even some of the levels are, if you're not paying attention to the story, you're in the hotel and you feel claustrophobic, you feel like the mess, you feel the anxiety.
Yeah.
And the journey is represented through gameplay in subtle ways, which is really nice. At the end, you jump down the mountain with Madeline. You go to Granny's house, and you have a party. Oshiro shows up, and all the strawberries you've collected gets made into one strawberry pie. And I've started speedrunning this game where I will get 0 strawberries because I'm just going for speed. And it's really funny when you make the pie with no strawberries. Everyone's like, they're looking at their face like, fuck.
I'm not a huge strawberry fan. I just don't like the grainy, outer. I like the flavor, but little seeds on the outside, no thanks.
How many strawberries are there?
There's either 175 or 202, depending on what you believe.
Yeah.
Okay, that didn't clear things up at all.
There is 175 strawberries in
The base game.
In the base game.
Yeah.
Okay.
B-sides, no strawberries. C-sides, no strawberries. That's the 175 basic ones. Then they unlock golden strawberries, where you have to beat a level start to finish without dying to get the golden strawberry.
Okay.
Including C-sides, B-sides, and Farewell, which if you haven't played Farewell, which you two haven't, it's long and insanely difficult at points.
I matched, I think maybe I died more in just Farewell than in my whole base game playthrough.
Yeah.
I died like 3,600 times in Farewell.
It's
like
a lot.
something like redonkulous. Like to the point that I was like, it's like, wow. I thought I was bad at platformers, and then this like made me be like, wow, I am so bad at platformers.
You can't even get to Farewell though unless you get a certain number of crystal hearts.
Yeah, you like
So you have
12,
to beat
right?
You have to beat
Something like
B-sides.
that? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go through. I mean, I enjoy the game enough to. I'm gonna continue
It's
playing
the
it.
C-sides that I didn't even touch.
The C-sides are actually really nice.
Yeah.
Because they're super fucking short. The most insanely difficult, like three like screens.
Okay.
But that's it.
Yeah,
It's
got it.
not like long, which is
Sure,
nice.
sure.
I'm looking forward to the B-sides. I know it's gonna be it's gonna be difficult, but
Yeah.
now that I've got the W under my belt, I can relax.
Yeah.
To me, it comes down to almost every gameplay challenge I've ever done, where things will seem impossible. But after I do it once, like Bloodborne, beating Father Gascoigne the first time was the most difficult thing I've ever done. But afterwards, I'm like, oh, I can do it.
Yeah.
It's so much easier going back in.
Like Hades.
With confidence, like with Hades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hades is a great example.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten the 4th stage of the final boss?
With extreme measures.
Yep. Where Cerberus becomes part of the battle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually. Oh man, now I want to play Hades.
Yeah. It's
Chapter 8 becomes unlocked after you beat everything. It's the core. So it's after the main story. A year later, you come back to the mountain. The old woman, Granny, has said she found a cave. And she says the mountain has extreme power and will affect your abilities. No double dash. And you don't regain your dash when you land either. You lose your dash after you use it once. Unlocking the A side of Chapter 8 requires 4 crystal hearts. The B side for Chapter 8 requires 15 crystal hearts. And to get the C side, you need all 23 crystal hearts outside of that to unlock it. Yeah. At the end, you run into Granny, and she says, "I'm gonna die soon." You're like, "Oh, I was feeling really good.
Yeah.
I was feeling really good about my life after this past year. Thanks, Granny." But then Chapter 9. So this was a DLC. This one was announced December 2018. Maddie announced that Celeste would get a set of Farewell levels sometimes in 2019. January of 2019, Maddie stated the new levels would consist of a single chapter with no alternate sides or strawberries. In April, revealed it would be called Farewell, and it was a free DLC update for all platforms. The coolest fucking kind of DLC you could ever ask for.
absolutely.
Continued support of a game that doesn't
Try to
rake
gouge you for
over.
money.
Yeah. And it was also really like fleshed out, so they could have definitely charged money for it.
I would have paid $10.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
September 9th, it was released in 2019. Unlock it, you had to finish the core. 8A is the only thing you actually have to do to unlock it. But the second half of Farewell is locked behind Crystal Hearts,
Yep.
so you need 15 of those.
Because that one really ramps up.
The plot is kind of bonkers for
Yep.
Farewell. Granny has passed away, and Madeline believes if she goes to outer space to catch the bird, it'll make Granny come back to life.
Yeah.
You find out halfway through the chapter, it's a dream.
Yep.
Badeline's like, yo, you're really... Was first, Badeline's like, this is not healthy for you to chase birds and try and bring back the dead. I'm out. I'm like, good. Someone needs to tell her the truth. Like, when your bad side's one, like, yo, you need to stop.
Relax. Yeah.
I've had my evil side say before, like, you do not need another beer today.
Didn't work yesterday.
I'm the degenerate here, and boy, you don't need another beer.
Where was that guy for me last night?
But I got back from the Renaissance Fair and I wanted a beer when we watched Holes, so I had a beer.
You watched Holes.
You watched Holes?
First time ever.
No shit.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you're like, now I'm in.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before.
I watched Slither. Have you seen Slither?
Yeah.
James Gunn?
I watched Suzume.
Suzume?
Suzume. It's a new anime film by the guy who did Your Name
Oh,
and Weathering
Suzume?
with You. Yes.
Just fucking with you.
Sorry. I got it wrong. I admit.
Some new gameplay in Farewell. You get 2- refill little diamonds, pufferfish. They when you get close, you go and they get big, and then they'll explode you different directions. Also, jellyfish. You hold onto the jellyfish, do a bunch of gliding. There are multiple secret paths through this.
Yeah.
If you're really good. There's also like special demo dash segments they added just for speedrunners to like be hot shit.
Yep.
At one point, you run into the internet cafe where the Berry OS it does wave dashing in you.
Yeah.
Which you guys haven't seen this. It's a super like cute tutorial video on how to wave dash because they realize even when they explain it to you, it's not going to be obvious.
No, it's not. No.
It's very tough. Have you beaten Farewell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoy. So it was a little bit more personal for me because I recently had gone. My grandma passed away. So the themes really, I guess, kind of come like they really hit home, right? Granny passed away, and Madeline's just trying to kind of like, oh, if I do this, I can bring her back, right? And you're also trying to like escape the reality of what happened, right? And I found myself doing somewhat, very similar things, right? When you're coping with death and all these things. So it really hit home. And again, much like in the base game, I think they did just an incredible job of just kind of tying it all together, and giving you like a very realistic worldview as to how we cope with things and how we traverse through all these feelings.
Well, it's all about what's going on internally.
Yeah.
Being forced into the external, and the whole plot is literally the internal made external through literal like gameplay. But I don't know. I don't think I had a point.
It's I when I was doing my story playthrough recently, I was like, this is an unhealthy chapter.
Yeah.
When like Madeline is just like denying the truth and just desperately hunting a bird, thinking it is Granny, and then she catches the bird and it just starts screaming in pain. Madeline's like, it's a fucking bird.
Yeah.
And at that point, though, Madeline says, I know this is a dream, but that bird is trapped here because of us, so we have to try and get out of this dream and get the bird out as well.
Sure.
And it becomes everyone working together, which I get. But at the very end, the last screen of Farewell, 2 minutes long-ish. So if you fuck up once at minute 50 seconds, you have to do all of it.
Dude,
It's a lot.
Nightmare.
You'll see it if you ever get there.
It's a nightmare.
No thanks.
It's great, though. I mean, once you do get to the top, though, you run into Granny on like a cloud in heaven. And the first thing Madeline says is something like, I'm sorry I wasn't at your funeral.
And she's like, well, the funeral's for you anyway, right?
Funeral's for all you.
She's like, I don't fucking care. I'm dead.
It's for all you poor saps.
Yeah, that's
stuck
what it is,
there
yeah.
without me.
What does Ben Kissel say from last podcast? He says, birthdays are for the dying, funerals are for the living.
Yeah.
That's that whole idea. It's
Yeah.
like, you can grieve however you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Madeline skipped the funeral because it was like too intense and didn't know how to deal with it.
I've done it before.
I've missed funerals, and I feel horrible about it. But Granny's right. Who fucking cares?
Kind of.
Grieve in your own way.
Yeah.
But then after she comes out, she has a video chat with Theo, and Theo's like, "It's fine. Like, just text me. We were worried sick. All you have to do is just say like, hey, I'm okay."
Yeah.
It was in this scene that there is a trans pride flag in Madeline's room. Very small detail next to her computer. And that's when people were theorizing, like, I believe Madeline is a trans character.
Got it. Okay.
And Maddie Thorson wrote a long, wonderful statement about it. And they explained, like, yes, Madeline is trans. Like, that is part of the character. And it was a personal journey for Maddie as well, for the creator. And It's a really well written, long article, worth reading. I'd recommend doing it. Yeah,
I have read that. Yeah,
yeah. It's
M to F, right?
Yep, and it's hard to put yourself out there and to like put yourself out on the line and just to like.
But you also have to tell. I think that's the most honest form of storytelling is when you write what you know and you don't pretend like you know everything else. I think that's critical to because everyone has a story to tell. But if you want to pretend to be someone else, you're not going to hit those same like emotional heights. Like even with art, like when I make stuff, I have to make stuff that connects with me emotionally. That might be something weird and demented, or it might be something stupid and silly.
Yeah.
But it has to resonate.
Yeah.
Because if you're not being honest with yourself, you're making bad art. And too many artists to do it. Because I don't know if you guys ever went into like a gallery of some sort and you looked at something on the wall and you said, wow, there's just nothing here. There's almost something intangible that you can't see about it.
Sure.
So it's almost like a gut emotion / feeling. It's like when you meet someone you don't like, you kind of just know it right away. It's almost pheromonal. It's instinctual.
Yeah.
So I think that being honest and like speaking from something that is critical to yourself is like probably the fucking way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people can smell bullshit. If you don't have any experience or you're trying to placate an audience that you are hoping to grasp that you don't have any real attachment to.
J.K. Rowling?
Yeah. They will.
Oh, by the way, Dumbledore was gay. And I'm like, God damn you, J.K. Rowling.
I don't
Collect
wanna
your
imagine
royalties
old man
and shut
fucking.
up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, but also I don't like trans people. I'm like, what?
And that's one of those things, though, like when they revealed Dumbledore was gay, cool, whatever. But they did it like as a revelation, like bomb drop, like kind of a thing. And finding out that Madeline was a trans character didn't really change the character for me at all.
No.
It was just like, oh, okay. It informs the character a little bit.
And I don't think it was ever going to be about what the mainstream would call like identity politics. It was always going to be like, well, yeah, but a person's a person. Who really gives a shit? You can glean whatever you want from it, but we're all kind of in the same boat here. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of some like ultra Republican platformer lover. And they're like,
Get through all. They get through all.
Have you ever?
They get through all that nightmare. And they're like, wait a second.
Well, yeah. Have you ever been like on r/conservative
so
just out of curiosity?
Oh, I've been on
And then
there.
you see like Aloy, who is a beautiful woman within the game.
Yeah.
But then they zoom in on her face and she has hairs, and it's like, yeah, all women do, dude. It's like, I can't even stand it. Why doesn't she have big titties like Laura Croft? It's just like, what are you talking about? This is how people look. Get out of your basement, you fucker.
Oh my God, it's a normal portrayal of a woman.
Yeah.
Also,
You'll
like,
be all right.
It's also like, well, I just don't understand why she can't be traditionally attractive. I'm like, she is traditionally attractive.
You just watch so much porn.
imagine
Your mind is melted.
imagine if Geralt of Rivia was like balding and really overweight.
Okay, that would be kind of funny.
Conversely, okay, you're in. Like, I could do that.
So he's just Vesemir.
Yeah, right.
Essentially.
I don't get this one.
Hold on.
That's a good one.
But yeah, I think it's awesome that Madeline's character is trans. It's awesome that Maddie Thorson opened up themselves and the story to that. I just think it's great that this game has become so important to the community.
Well, yeah, and I think that anyone with a reasonable level of empathy and a beating human heart, like you can allow yourself. I think that's the point of video games too. Like Tyler was saying, if like stepping outside your comfort zone and experiencing something else, that's the whole point of art to begin with.
Yeah,
because it's about connecting with a product that someone created from literally just themselves or a team. I mean, obviously this has some level of auteurship to it.
Yeah.
But I think that is the whole point of escapism. You don't always want to be yourself. You want to see things from a different angle. And I think especially like, it's not really a trans narrative, But if you were to interpret it that way, that still works on multiple levels.
Absolutely.
So I think, I don't know, man. Like if honestly, if people had a problem with it, I would just tell them to go screw. So, I think that's what's important about games in general. And I think with Indie Month, especially, these are all things that are not built in boardrooms. These are things that are built by smaller teams who can do a little bit more with storytelling and ideas rather than focus testing it to hell and back, because I've gotten so frustrated with AAA games.
Yeah.
And this is like a perfect example of like one of those indie games that is just like, oh yeah, well, people are going to be talking about this forever.
I have more to say about Celeste. Tom's show was in a half an hour.
Are you fucking kidding?
At 2:30. Great time to see the dentist. 2:30. Get it, guys?
Oh, that was good.
That was.
Dude,
I'm
you're
sorry.
fucking hilarious.
Get out of here, dude.
Get
out of your own house.
Just wanted to briefly mention there is variance mode if you want to go in and change the game speed from 50 to 160%. There is mirror mode. There's 360-degree dashing. So the analog stick, you can dash literally 360 different directions with it. Instead of up, diagonal, and right, you can go various degrees of the dash.
Oh.
If you wanted to put that on for variance mode. There's some other things in there, like you can add hiccups, which make you bounce slightly randomly sometimes and make you lose your grip.
Why?
I know, right?
It's hard enough, homie.
Why?
Assist mode is great. If you are super struggling and you want to just get past the screen, turn on assist mode, and you can like turn on infinite stamina, infinite air dashing, invincibility. There's a debug mode. There is a cheat mode. Check out Theo's Instagram account. It's very cool. This game was nominated for Game of the Year alongside God of War 2018, Spider-Man, Red Dead 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Monster Hunter World.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is saying a lot.
That was a stacked year. Holy shit.
That was a statue too, though.
That's almost like this year.
Yeah. This year's it's stacking out to be pretty good.
It is.
This year's blowing my mind.
It's in the top 10 most active speedruns on speedrun.com. I'm going to read my counts because I brought my counts. I don't think you guys did, but for overall deaths, I have 33,958 across all consoles and plays. Total time, 133 hours and 49 minutes. Fastest clear with all strawberries and hearts, 6 hours, 54 minutes and 37 seconds.
That's pretty fast.
And that's all seasides and all hearts and strawberries. Fastest any percent time, I have 1 hour and 59 seconds. I haven't gotten sub 1 hour yet, but
Wow.
yeah.
Damn.
Fucking pro.
It's fun. I like this game. I do like this game. But let's rank quick. We're gonna do the game ranking now.
Let's do it.
Let me pull it up here. Hair of the Dogcast ranking.
I can't wait to see Tom in a wig as Olivia Newton-John.
Okay, so Celeste or Dredge?
Celeste.
Celeste or Doom 2016?
Doom 2016.
Celeste.
Okay.
Celeste.
Okay.
Okay. Celeste or Super Monkey Ball?
Celeste.
Celeste.
Celeste or Tetris?
Tetris.
Celeste.
Celeste.
Wow.
That's tough.
That's interesting.
That was a tough one.
Celeste or Castlevania Symphony of the Night?
Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the
Never played
Night.
it, so Celeste.
If you haven't played the other game, you can't vote.
Nope. So, Brad, tiebreaker.
I would say Celeste, but
I
doesn't
said-
matter.
Symphony
Yeah.
of the Night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Celeste or Resident Evil Village?
Village.
Village.
Celeste. So that puts Celeste at number 12 on our list. Below Resident Evil Village, above Tetris. That list is currently at 45 games.
Nice.
That's a solid ranking.
That is very
45.
solid.
Kingdom Hearts 1
Kingdom Hearts is
Will it ever get
is number
dethroned?
45. Number 1 is Bloodborne.
Oh, nice.
Yes, you want to be a lower number.
If it got up to Bloodborne, I'd be a little impressed, but that is
super
hard to. Based on all of our collective experience with these, yeah, Bloodborne is really hard to beat.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's also like a group ranking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. On the next Raw Dogs, we will be discussing Inscription, a wonderful, simple deck building card game with nothing weird going on in there. We're going to be joined by the wonderful Ruby Hart, a co-host of mine from Need for Speedrunning.
Nothing weird about this game.
This game is very straightforward.
I have not played it yet.
Ooh,
You better get going. It's not long.
You said like 10 hours?
See, the problem is Dylan told me it wasn't long. So I got about 3 hours in. I'm like, oh, I'm almost at the end. I wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I got about 3 hours further, and I'm like, all right, I'm almost at the end. I wasn't. It was longer than I thought it was going to be, according, because you said it's like a pretty small little game, and it wound up being like
12 hours is
yeah.
fine.
But the thing
full
is,
game.
the thing is, like, it's got finish lines that they show you, and then they're like, "Oh, we're not even racing that anymore." Like, "Oh, fuck you, we're playing a different race now." I'm like, "Whatever."
I love that.
I do too. But I want to.
Let's be clear. I consider a 12-hour game to be not that long.
I agree.
That's something I can work with. That's something I can roll with. Though the fact that this is technically a roguelike in a lot of ways, it muddies it up.
I beat it within a 24-hour period, though, from start to finish. I fucking marathoned it.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the Dogcast will be back to convene to discuss how Xbox will prevail over the evil PlayStation Spartacus. Yes.
Hail Xbox.
Hail Xbox. Hail Satan. Julian, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was awesome again.
You're wonderful, man.
Thanks.
Let's have you on again soon.
I would love that. Thank you guys so
Perfect.
much for having me.
Yeah, perfect.
I love your opinions on
Do you have
games.
anything that you want to like plug or say?
No, I don't really have much.
Do you want some attention? You want to
No,
plug your
super no.
Instagram? You want like
Definitely
them to
not.
look at
Definitely
your face? You want them to gaze upon your glory?
No. Just very thankful that you guys invited me back on. Man, this is
yeah.
awesome. I love talking about games. So
If there's anything that, especially even Indie Games Month, or if there's something that you hear about from us that you say like, oh, I'm really into
I
this.
already told Brad, I was like, you gotta get going on The Witcher because I got a lot of things to talk about.
Well, first is Resident Evil 4 remake.
Ooh.
I still got to get you that.
I got to finish Tears of the Kingdom. I got to play Pikmin. I got
I
to play
do have to-
Okami.
I do have to finish Tears of the Kingdom.
They released
Plague Tale
They
this
released
year?
all
I
the
got to play
Pikmin.
Plague Tales, both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah, I got
Also,
a little
The
list.
Witcher,
But
The Witcher's a really good winter game.
okay.
Yeah, it is.
It's a really good winter game.
And I am,
my God,
I
that
am
is
doing my
cozy.
my
Yeah.
yearly. I am just playing Assassin's Creed because I just do. And
I'm
as far
almost
as
there.
like story that I don't care about, mixed with gameplay that isn't that good, it is scratching those itches for me. But yes, this has been Raw Dogs. Thank you for all your support. If you want access to these episodes in advance, as well as much earlier episodes of Elden Dogs, exclusive podcasts, our movie review, Doggies After, our Popcorn Dogs, we have tons of episodes out that are only available to Patreon. Check out patreon.com/hairofthedogcast. Special thanks to executive producers Ryan Christianick, Jordan Hoff, Phil Wright, Kip Kipper, and Brian Ward. We appreciate all of your support. And if you have any thoughts or concerns, you can tell us. We would listen.
Brad will listen.
I will read them.
Brad will read them and hear them in his head over and over.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads.
Do we have a Threads now?
We do. I haven't done nothing with it.
All right, I'll get
Not
on
much
Threads.
has threads in general.
And we are going to have a Blue Sky soon. If that's
Didn't even know that was a thing.
it's not easy to get into, and it's very exclusive and not a lot of people. But we'll be on there within a week. So if that's your thing. Also, we're on YouTube and we're on Hangovers all across Milwaukee. We will be hungover coming near you.
I'm gonna be hungover tomorrow.
Planning on it. Thanks for tuning in.
Shout out. Bye, babies.
YOLO.
Love you. LOL.